acts in Newtown were because of a madman who was under the influence of violent video games. And it's my understanding, Mr. McKinney, that you represent Newtown. So I would like to get your assurance that you would work toward working against gun control here in the state of Connecticut, because it's not in any way helping with that situation. Why should the Second Amendment rights of the law-abiding citizens of Connecticut be affected? We're not at fault about what happened in Newtown, so I would like you to keep that in mind when it comes to voting on this.
Well, you mentioned a couple things. One, video games. Our side has brought that up in the task force. Senator Scott France from Greenwich has a bill in to study the effects. There are other issues we're pushing on that front. Mental health issues, how to recognize people that might have mental health issues, whether or not someone perhaps with known mental health issues should have access to firearms is a question. For example, right now the question on your firearm application is, have you been involuntarily committed in the last 12 months? The murderer of Virginia Tech voluntarily committed himself into a psychiatric hospital and was able to get out and go purchase a weapon. So we are trying to focus on that. I'm going to be honest with you, I'm going to support some legislation that you're probably not going to agree with on the issue of guns. I'm always going to look at the issue on whether or not the proposal first it violates what is a constitutional right.
I understand you're politically at risk, but I think you should.
No, it's not.
I think you should be considering the right and noble thing here. For people who have Second Amendment rights, that's a bigger issue than whether you'll be reelected or not. And you really should be considering that. This is a one-time situation that happened, and the people who have Second Amendment rights didn't cause that to happen. So.
Can I just say something, John, before you speak? And he certainly doesn't need anybody to speak for him, but I'm going to respectfully ask this. Okay, one-on-one I'll talk to you about, how I feel and stuff. But right now, he's involved with negotiations with all the other leaders. And for those of us who were on the task force, we took a pledge. And the pledge was we're going to let the process go through. And once the recommendations are released, what the final recommendations are, and none have been finalized yet, that's when we're going to come out and speak. But if I came out and told you how I feel right now or what I'm going to vote on, there's two problems with it. One is I haven't seen the recommendations, and two, I'm actually really violating what the agreed bipartisan process was, which is we all had an open mind, we hear both sides, and then we'll see the recommendations. Once those recommendations are out, we're all putting them on our websites. We're all going to ask for input, but then we're free to be able to say something. Okay, but they're in very, very tough negotiations right now. They've been doing this for the better part of 3 weeks.
Are you able to ask for two things? Are you able to ask for the police, the really useful information from the police investigation, and second, mental health information that has the investigation that went on there? That would be something you should have to have logically to come to a good conclusion. And say you have all the information.
Right. So, just briefly, and this gentleman had asked the same question. Based on whether they're leaks, whether those leaks are accurate or inaccurate, and based on stories that have been on the news, I contacted the commissioner of our public safety, who's got a new name, Department of Emergency Services, whose name is Ruben Bradford. We had a very good conversation. And the reason for my calling was I represented Newtown for 14 years. It's my 15th year. I had a friend who I've known for almost 30 years who was in that school teaching. I know families in there. And the fact that 26 families who lost a son, a daughter, a sister, a husband, father, might be reading in the newspaper about something that happened there, instead of hearing it from their government, is, to be kind, wrong. And so, in talking to Colonel Stebbins, who I don't blame for anything that's happened. I was in the room when Colonel Stebbins had to inform parents that 20 young children were confirmed dead in the school. This man, you know, has been through a lot, in addition to a lifetime of sacrifice to his country and our state. This investigation is being run by the state's attorney's office out of Danvers. And we've had conversations with him today, and we believe that we will be able to get information relevant to what we're working on before we vote. And with respect to mental health, I can't answer that question for you because I don't know what the law is, and we haven't been able to get an answer under privacy rights of someone who's no longer here. For example, your medical records, my medical records are protected by privacy rights. Does that protection still exist after I'm gone? I don't know the answer to that. So I don't know if we're going to get some of that information.
That's so important, that information. I mean, it's come out by
And,
the
well,
act.
and one of the,
I don't, if I could just add, because I actually was part of the mental health part of this, in addition to the privacy thing. I don't disagree with you that, you know, that would be helpful information.
Well, here's why it's important. You're going to deprive people of their rights and their property based on big, huge lapses in information where you make a decision. So.
Maybe, maybe not. I hear you. But what I will say is in a lot of cases, like the Lancet cases, they wind up being private, or they pay cash themselves for the treatment. And so there really isn't a lot of records. People don't even know who the doctors are that they go to. So even if we wanted the information, assuming that's one, we've got HIPAA, and two, it's very hard to get at.
but it is something we need to look at, not just in Connecticut, but everywhere. Where there are instances where public safety overrides those privacy rights, and that's something we need to look at.